I'm going to talk about partnerships. Partnerships for sustainable development. I lead advisory partnerships at IBM. I'm the Global Vice President of Advisory Partnerships. And I thought this topic is of prime importance as we look at how we can bring people together in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So I am going to advance us to the next chart. We are going to focus on goal number 17. There has been a lot of discussions on many of the other goals, but we haven't really delved deep into this one. This one requires a lot more collaboration, a lot more cross-sector collaboration, one of the missions of Ideagen, really. It'll require us to be unanimously pledged towards achieving these goals across developed and developing countries throughout the world. It will require us to come together to utilize existing and some new resources. So we'll have to free those resources up. It needs to be across technology innovation. It needs to be across financial resources. It needs to be across capability building, and so on. You know, in my role at IBM, when we look at ecosystems, we look at value. We look at a win-win-win. It should be a win for our partner. It should be a win for IBM, of course, but it should be, most importantly, a win for the client, the citizen, you know, the person towards which we are creating value. So it's a win-win-win. Sometimes these partnerships are pretty unexpected. If you look at my role, I look at building partnerships with consulting firms who could be seen as competition. But they're really not. What we believe is the pie is big enough for everybody, and we can come together and make the pie bigger than what it is, and we'll have enough value for every single individual in that. I'm gonna go a little bit of a fun picture. I picked this because of the sheer joy in the face of the black lab over there, an unexpected friendship and an unexpected partnership. This is Bubbles, the 9,000-pound African elephant who was, the parents and the family was poached, so came over to the US and lives a fantastic life now. This is Bella, the black lab. They didn't get along initially, but once Bella figured out that she could jump on the back of Bubbles, and that's when the partnership formed. So Bubbles would just bend down, pick Bella up, and they would go into the center of this pool and have fun. So essentially, it's a little bit of a lighter note, but partnerships gives us access to the kind of talent that we alone don't have. It gives us access to a new way of looking at things. It gives us access to new value creation. Let's move on to the next piece. Today, there are 3 things to note that I'm going to cover. The first, of course, is the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development that calls for a new partnership approach. What does that mean? We spoke a little bit about that. I'm going to also talk about what we, prior to this, used to talk about as a public-private partnership, or a PPP. Is that truly where we need to go in this new era? Or should we move more to a different kind of a partnership that has the administration, that has the business partners, and that also has the civic society, the civil society? So it's a 3-way partnership. In a PPP model, what used to happen is it was more of a contractual. Yeah, of course, it brought funding into some of these initiatives that the government was putting together. But in a 3-way relationship, we're actually expanding the sphere. We are actually thinking more about not just serving the common, which is the goal of the administrative folks. The business partners want to create value, of course. And then the civic society, they're working towards the interests of their groups, of their people. Once you bring all of these 3 together, that's when we can get the partnership to the next level. So that's my hypothesis, and I want to bring all of you along with me on that. So how can the private sector, to which I belong, really help in achieving this? Yes, they can bring funding into it. Yes, they employ so many people. They are contributing to the GDP. They can commit to the Sustainable Development Goals. They can track, they can report, they can make sure they inspire people. But what they can also do is to be able to share the innovations, share the development that's happening within these private institutions. I'll share one example, and this inspires me to no end. IBM Research, we have our own research arm, as probably some of you know. We invest heavily into what's next in the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. They came up with Watson, which is our AI model. They came up with quantum computing. They have developed something called Volcat. I'm trying to see if the video will play. The video won't. However, I will share what Volcat is with all of you. It is a new innovative model of recycling. Volcat stands for volatile catalyst. We have developed in our research facilities a way to make sure that plastic recycling becomes not only easy, it becomes non-reliant on fossil fuels. How does that happen? So today, if you see all of you do recycling, we separate things into different buckets, we take labels off, we wash them. It goes through separate processing, paper separate, plastic separate, and even within plastics, there are different kinds, and some cannot be recycled today. What happens is there is cross-contamination when this happens, and a lot of it actually goes into landfills. Almost, maybe 70% is not used today. So IBM's technology has actually developed something in which you don't have to segregate. Everything can come in together. You can keep clothes, like your polyester clothes, one of the significant ways of, that's leading to pollution worldwide, fast fashion, right? So clothes, carpets, you can put all of that together. You don't need to wash them. It all goes in together. That Volcat system actually looks at processing the PET out of that and creates 100%. You don't even need to clean. You don't even need to separate colored plastics and white plastics or transparent plastics. It actually does all of that and creates something that's 100% recyclable. Now, if you put this system into the facilities that are manufacturing plastics, it can take the old plastic and create new. You don't need, in the future, to rely on fossil fuels and petroleum to be able to create plastics. So that's an innovation. To bring that mainstream, we will need the administration. We will need the people to do things differently. We will require all of us to work in different ways. It's just an inspiration. I do want to share also that it's up to the public sector to make sure that we share our sustainable development goals with everybody publicly, and it's available on the web if you go up. I'm going to share a couple of stories. Our innovation and expertise drives the SDG effort across all 17 goals. I talked a little bit about the Volcat system. I'm going to talk about P-Tech, because we talked about youngsters, we talked about people who are coming into the workforce. P-Tech is a model innovation in which you're changing the whole education game. People can graduate with high school diplomas, no cost associate college degrees, they go straight into the workforce. It's adopted in 28 countries across the globe, including China. So some innovations that we have today, I wanted to share more with all of you so everybody can embrace it and we can think of how to make it better. We talked about material design and discovery. I do want to talk about our success that relies on trust built not just with clients, but also with societies, people whose lives can be better because of the technology that we produce today. IBM has committed to net zero GHG emissions by 2030, greenhouse gas emissions. We are supporting, advanced tech, how oceans, how we can make sure oceans are healthier. We are supporting, our 99%, more than that actually, of our direct procurements come from sustainable managed forests and so on. I also want to talk about our future investments in science for social good. This is, again, something that we are committed. 114 of our volunteer scientists are committing their time in 7 IBM research labs across the globe to bring innovation to the world. We talk about shared goals, and we talked a lot today about that. We need to move from shared goals to shared actions. And that is what my commitment is as Ideagen's advisory board member, is to bring our private companies together to have a discussion first, but then have very clear actions so that in the next year, when we meet again, that we have something to celebrate as a community together. Thank you so very much.